Welcome to the Michigan Runner Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
I'm here with a man of many talents, from biochemist to magician to Human Torch.
Organic chemist.
To Human Torch to photographer to dancer to music aficionado to now to runner of 400 marathons. Or longer.
Yes.
It's Carter Sherline. It's been a long time coming. In fact, it's 2018, and we are just now naming him 2017 Michigan Co-Runner of the Year. But congratulations, Carter.
Thank you.
Tell me about your passion for not only running, but I think life and learning.
Oh, boy. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Running-wise, I discovered running really when I graduated high school. So I really wasn't a runner before. Running was kind of like the punishment or at least training for whatever else I was doing, playing football, wrestling, weightlifting. But I heard about Emily Gale's 10K downtown with thousands and thousands of people in the streets of Detroit, and having grown up in Detroit until I was 13, so 5 years before, I had an affinity for Detroit, and I said, I got to do this. And
we're talking late 1970s?
Yep, this was 1978. And can't remember if I had already graduated or it was the week before I graduated high school. And took me about 10 minutes to get to the starting line. There were so many people, and those races, they'd open up the beer, which Stroh's was one of the sponsors, before the race. So that would make for an interesting race. I've been known to drink during marathons, but that's like a Dixie cup late in the race.
I forgot to mention also a hash house harrier.
Oh yeah, that's important. That's
yes.
important. A group of drinkers with a running problem. I've been doing that since 1988. Kind of a game of hares and hounds or paper chase. It was started by some British expatriates in Malaysia pre-World War II, and
yes,
chapters all over the world.
Kennels,
yes, and we pass out beer at most of the major marathons, sometimes more than once. I know Marine Corps has 2 stops, and Detroit is 24 and a half. Was where we've been the last few years.
You met Sai Ma, who maybe at the time had run more marathons than any other human.
Yes, that came well before that. I was a chemistry major, as you're saying, and cell molecular biology, actually double major. That's where you got the biology from.
Yes.
And I was doing a magic show in Alpha Chi Sigma, the chemistry fraternity.
Magician also.
Yes. And I managed to put myself in U of M Hospital, University of Michigan, for those of you not in Michigan. Hospital for 8 days, third-degree burns, ambulated myself.
Before there was Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, there was Carter Sherline.
So when I got out of the hospital, I decided I needed to do something to focus my life, and that something was running a marathon, which I ran the next year. So the fire was April of 1983, and in October of 1984, I ran the Free Press Marathon. One marathon that year.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, I ran another one. Next year, I ran 3. Following year, I ran 5. The third one of those was the Sunburst Marathon, South Bend, Indiana. Finishes on the 50-yard line of Notre Dame Stadium, a smaller copy of the Big House.
A U of M guy would have to say that, but it's true.
Yes. Well, it was
sort of.
Well, it had to do with it. Actually, there's a chemistry tie to that because pharmacy, as I understand it, pharmacy graduate student Nuke Rockney, who was the football coach, obviously he's more known for that than having been on the research group that discovered neoprene or created neoprene. That he said, if you build me a stadium just like Yost has, I'll bring you a winning team.
And Sunburst was an appropriate thing for your experience.
Yes. Well, I had met Sai Ma, again, the person who at that time had run more marathons than anyone for a lifetime. And he had, we talked for about 5 minutes. I told him I was going to run 3 hours. I was trying for a personal record. and I ran 3:30. And when I got home back to Ann Arbor, 2.5, 3 hour drive, there was a message on my answering machine. What happened? Why'd you die? I'm like, die? I didn't run that much slower, but this gentleman took such an interest in me. He remembered my name, found my phone number, and left me a condolence message of my time.
But you'd only run a 3:30.
Yes. So I mean, it was hot. It was very hot. About 90 degrees that day. So I knew about him having run those many marathons, and I was already somewhat addicted, and I kind of became a accolade of him. When he died several years later of several diseases, the running staved off several fatal diseases for some years, and the doctors didn't know, that couldn't even figure out what he had. They just because he was fighting the symptoms, and I think the symptoms conflicted. But he said a few days before he died that I was his anointed replacement. Of course, I think he told several hundred people this. So,
all right.
So I'm sure he told several dozen at least. So
sort of like George Washington being the father of his country.
Yeah, well, he may have been. I think Benjamin Franklin's the father of, because he was probably had a lot of children, but
or Wilt Chamberlain.
Yes,
right.
Somebody like that. So or at least of a country.
Yes.
But yes.
But with Carter, moderation is one of the few words you can't use to describe him. In addition to 400 marathons, as many as 31 in a year.
21 marathons and 10 ultras that year.
He also got into photography as a professional for many publications, and even now he is ubiquitous in a different way with his camera shooting races, golf tournaments, special events all throughout Michigan. Tell me about photography. How did that engage your passion, the intensity that you bring to it?
Well, I first of all, after I blew myself up, I was taking some time off and started working on the staff as a paraprofessional tutor in math and science at Washington Community College, and took some classes playing around on the side as well, and started taking photography, which had always been a hobby, but I certainly never considered myself an artist before that. And I don't know, somehow or another I started selling pictures. Actually, my very first picture I sold, it was an editorial assignment, on the spot. I was driving to the Scotty Hampton Marathon. I was driving up 23 from Ann Arbor, and there was a car fire on the side of the road. Someone who had gotten a rent-a-wreck. I don't think rent-a-wrecks are around anymore, but real cheap rentals that the cars were worth what you paid for the rental. And
Carter recognized a kindred spirit in that vehicle.
Yeah, that happened too. But I jump out of the car, start taking pictures, because I said, well, I ought to take pictures of this. And a woman runs down the embankment, says, I'm the editor of the Whitmore Lake weekly paper. Can I buy some pictures from you of this? And I said, sure. And that was my first.
A photojournalist was born.
Yes. Soon after that, I was doing, I don't remember what race, I think that was also in Whitmore Lake. And a couple friends of mine who both, they were dating at the time, they're now long since married to each different people. Tom Henderson and Mary Beth Dillon said, well, you're a photographer, you're a runner, and we write for this running publication, Michigan Runner. We should introduce you to it. And I started shooting for Michigan Runner in 1993. I think it was in May of 93.
That's when you started.
Yep, so it's 25 years.
25 years, and race shots are countless. I'm sure a publication, I don't know if a publication has ever gone by that hasn't had a lot of your pictures, a lot of memorable images, a lot of people's experiences have been captured in a unique and beautiful way that celebrates them and also the sport.
Yes, so I mean I've seen a lot of things certainly in running. I captured all the major races in Michigan. I've been around the country. Besides Michigan Runner, I've shot for Runner's World, Running Times, Marathon and Beyond.
And you shoot independently now on SmugMug, right?
Well, I'm as a byproduct of my shooting, usually, I put pictures up on SmugMug where individuals can get prints or digital files, imprinted items and such. So that's kind of more of a side thing. Like these two guys who just walked by, they're people I was talking about earlier, having run the Columbus Marathon with. When at the time I had like 200 and some marathons, and I had the second fewest of anybody in the group. And there's about a dozen of us. And two guys, actually, they were the top two in Michigan, but they both moved somewhere warm.
Well, Carter, you've given this sport a lot of years, and there's still a lot of good ones ahead. I think your last marathon, I may have been there for it, the 400th in Kalamazoo a few years ago. As the years catch up with you and the body, you sort of go in other ways. You can't do what you did, but you can do other things better because you've learned.
Well, not so much the body, because the body was handling the marathon still, but the mind, I think I have distractions. And so I had taken some time off, which has grown into 6 years. I hate to say that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get back. My photography, I used to, starting with marathon number 145, I started photographing while I ran. But in 2001, I had started doing some video, and that has gotten a larger portion of my work. And in the last 3.5 years, I took on being a drone operator and doing video and sometimes stills using the drone. The drone won't do a marathon. The batteries last about 20 minutes at most.
Well, you do spot shots.
Yeah.
You don't do the duration of it.
Yeah,
you capture the flavor
yeah,
of it.
but I couldn't run the marathon with the drone. He couldn't follow me the whole race.
I was going to say that technology is a way out yet.
Yes. So things have happened. Some things in my personal life kind of interfered with my training as well. I certainly would like to get back into
onward,
it.
Yes, onward.
Yeah, but onward.
And Carter is the 2017 Michigan Runner of the Year for your contributions. You've coached, you've encouraged people, you've inspired people. Carter, thank you for what you do.
All right, well, thank you.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.